Herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Folge des Strapi Podcasts. In dieser Folge habe ich ihn ganz besonders als Gast und das ist Aurélien Georget. Aurélien ist Co-Founder und CPO von einem der größten Open-Source Headless CMS-Systeme, die es auf dem Markt gibt, und das ist Strapi. Ich durfte ihn einen Tag vor deren ersten In-Person-Konferenz in Paris treffen und in unserem Gespräch hat er mir erzählt, wieso sie Strapi gegründet haben, was deren größte Challenge war, Strapi auf den Markt zu bringen, wie das Team im Hintergrund arbeitet und was ich super spannend fand, Aurélien hat mir erzählt, dass mittlerweile große Firmen wie Adidas, Apple, Vinted oder Ikea auf Strapi setzen, um deren Website zu powern. Also wirklich große Unternehmen. Und wie ihr euch sicherlich denken könnt, Aurélien spricht kein Deutsch. Deswegen ist dieser Podcast auch auf Englisch, was für mich persönlich ein Schritt aus der Komfortzone raus war, weil ich habe vorher noch keinen Podcast auf Englisch gemacht. Ich habe auch an der einen oder anderen Stelle gestruggelt. Das merkt man ein bisschen, denke ich. Aber ich bin mir ziemlich sicher, das hat den Podcast nicht schlechter gemacht. Aurélien hat sehr viele spannende Themen erzählt und die solltet ihr auf gar keinen Fall verpassen. Ich würde auch an der Stelle nicht lange um den heißen Brei reden und wünsche euch viel Spaß bei der Folge. Hi Aurélien, good to see you and thank you for taking the time for the podcast. For those who might not know you, could you just shortly introduce yourself and tell yourself who are you and what's your job at Strapi?
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's just an honor to be on the podcast. My name is Aurélien. I'm one of the 3 co-founders at Strapi. I'm the Chief Product Officer. I'm mostly coming from an engineering background. I started to code at 13 years old, learning on my own. And Strapi is not my first company, and it's not my first CMS, by the way.
Okay.
So I created some when I was 16, something like this. And I'm pretty passionate about creating tools that can help people on their daily life, especially engineers or designers.
Mm-hmm.
I just like to solve problems. And Strapi, as an open source CMS, we are helping companies but also individuals to manage content at scale. So that's one of the things with Strapi, is that we are being used by a ton of users, non-profit organizations, small organizations, freelancers, but we're also being used by one of those GAFAM. Mm-hmm. We have Amazon as a customer, we have Apple as customer, and many more. So
the big fishes.
The big fishes. And it's not easy on a daily basis to build a roadmap that makes sense for those 2 very different targets. That's what I'm doing at Strapi, working with designers, the product managers, the engineering team, of course, but also the documentation, the data. All of that is, except the engineers, we have a CTO, but all of that is under the CPO scope.
Okay. And how does, where did the idea came from to do Strapi or an CMS? Because the market is, I would say, full with CMS, the conventional WordPress, type of free or Drupal or something else.
Yeah. It all started in 2014. We were 3 students, Jim, Pierre, and I, in the same school, doing the same studies. It was during our master degree, and we were all of us working as freelancers for different clients. And I don't remember why, but we got one client in common, and we had to work on that app. And this client wanted it was a pretty huge project, for 3 freelancers. And he wanted to have a mobile app and a website, and he wanted to have also something to have the content available for something else later. Mm-hmm. And WordPress at the time was not working at all, and no other CMS was fitting with his needs. So we decided to create a software. The name was Extensio. It was not even Strapi. Extensio come from extension, and we built it. It was mostly a backend framework on top of Node.js. I don't know if it was including GraphQL, because GraphQL was not even existing at that time, and it was maybe the beginning of React. But we were just using a full JavaScript stack, and that was the beginning of Strapi actually. We started with that project, backend framework with an administration panel on top of it. I think we did it in Angular in that time, so it was not even React. And then we just started to iterate on that, because it was super fun to build it, but also to use it for our customers. And this extension project became Strapi. And we say like it was open source from day one. And we got like a lot of stars, I think 1,000. A lot of people were interested about the project, even in the school, like other freelancers or students were using
marketing or something else? So
No.
you just published it on GitHub and
no organic growth.
people started to organic growth. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we presented it to a few meetups in Paris.
Mhm.
I remember one meetup at the Mozilla Foundation, and then our other students were also using it. So that's how we started like to get a very bit of traction, and yeah, that's how it started.
And the community was firstly French based, or
Yeah.
okay.
But we wanted to be international. We are very inspired by two teams. One of them was the team behind the Node.js framework called Sales, Sales.js, which has been one of the most famous backend framework in the Node.js community when it all started. Now it's more Nest or Ono or any other backend framework. And we were also inspired by Rails and Symfony.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's why we have a lot of origins from the backend world.
Okay.
And
So you finished the client project and then started to work on Strapi, basically.
we finished our first studies. Yeah, we did all our internships, apprenticeships on Strapi, and then at the end of our studies, we decided like to say no to the job proposals we got, and we started Strapi. So we incorporated the company in 2016, and I think we worked for more than almost 3 years as freelancers, but also working on Strapi. So we had two days in the same day, like working as freelancer, like to pay the bills.
Yes.
And starting like 5 p.m. until 10 p.m. we were like working on Strapi.
Okay.
And we did that for more than 2 years. And I think in 2018 we raised our first round, but it took a lot of time to find people.
How big was the team at that time?
The three of us, and one freelancer, Cyril, who became our first employee.
Okay. And you raised how much money did you raise?
$1 million, so a bit less in euro, but
Okay.
it took us like 9 months to raise that amount because nobody was believing in a open source framework, and 3 French students coming from nowhere. So
is it public who give you the money
yeah,
at that time?
yeah, it's public. We got public money, but yeah, it's everything is public.
Okay. And the companies who invested in you, are there major funds or
No, it was a
private
mix of
equity, or what kind of investors was it?
It was mostly ex-entrepreneurs,
Okay.
so business angels.
Okay.
And yeah, half of the money came from them, and then we have what we call the Public Bank of Investment in France, BPI, which doubled that amount. So that's how we raised 1 million.
Okay.
But yeah, like the French ecosystem helped a lot.
Okay.
Because they gave us like 1 year free office in one of their incubator. Plus they help us to raise that money and to make some loan as well.
So why I'm asking is, I can imagine that investors who give you money are, behind you and look what are you developing, and what are you publishing for features. And if you have investors who are behind the idea and the technology and the product, then I'm sure they will give you even more money or support you with other stuff. And if you have some investors who are not willing to understand the product, it's kind of complicated, I guess. And
that's why it took so much time to raise money. Is to find, I think we met maybe 200 people in France, and mostly in France, and none of them were understanding Strapi, and I think we were also, the way we were pitching the company was wrong, in the sense that we were like pitching it as a backend framework, and nobody is paying for a backend framework. Like nobody. You don't pay for Symfony, you don't pay for Rails, you don't pay for Ono, you don't pay for anything.
Yes.
And our target and our there's a difference between the target buyer and the audience. Our audience was and is still the developers. They are our champions. We love them. But the ones who are really buying Strapi to make like to found a commercial company that can support the open source project, those buyers are not the developers. There are sometimes developers, but most of the time they are marketing teams, and they are seeing the value in a different way. And that was when we made our mistake. We were like saying developers are our champions, but they're also the ones who are going to buy the product, and it was not true. And at that time we didn't know, so we learned it, and that's why we, after the first fundraising, like the 3 months following it, we changed our positioning and we started to say, oh, we are Headless CMS. And we started like to say, okay, we're going to focus on content and not only data. And we're going to help those marketing teams that care about content, sharing that content, creating content, editing content, managing content at scale to do it with our software. And that's how we shifted from being 100% focused on developers, both for the audience and the persona, the buyer persona, to...
Okay. Yeah, I think that's an important point you mentioned here, because when I started using Strapi, it was Strapi version 3 back in the days, 2021, I guess. And what me fascinated the most was the developer experience was super good. And also the way the content manager worked. So I could give this to a client who's used to WordPress and doesn't know anything about Strapi. And after maybe half an hour, the person already knew how to work with Strapi and was fascinated how easy it was. And that was a pretty nice experience at the beginning. And then we stuck to Strapi. Yes.
Yeah, that's what we wanted, like to offer this experience, and we are still focusing on that, trying to improve. Like a lot of things are changing in the developer ecosystem, so we need to keep track on those things. But we also need to improve the content editing experience for the end users, and especially like the experience is it's pretty easy to make a good experience for one user. But when you start to have a team working in your product and they want to collaborate, and there are many people editing the same content at the same time, or you're managing like 25 locals, so languages, or you're managing like different websites, it starts to be more complicated. So but this is what we learned also when we started at Strapi. We have no ambition to make like a company that would be used by millions of people, or being we didn't expect like to raise 4 rounds. We didn't expect to be a US company and to have like employees all over the world. That was not the plan. We were like just 3 students having fun on developing project for other customers, and we created that beast.
Okay.
and I was super happy with it. But I think it can explain why we were maybe slow on some aspect at the beginning, and we could talk about that. I think we raised too much money at some point in the beginning, and it didn't help actually.
Okay. Nice insights. And I think before we go deeper into this topic or in other topics, I would talk about something else. It's the Strapi-Conf.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is the first in-person event of the Strapi-Conf. In the past years, you did an online Strapi conference.
Yeah.
And for me personally, it was, every time it was a good conference, good insights, professionally produced, and nice discussions. In the last time it was in Discord, so very nice. How are your feelings about the Strapi-Conf in person tomorrow?
It's gonna be intense. It's gonna be fun. No, we're all super excited about it. It's a lot of work compared to an online conference. But we were like missing it. We didn't do it last year, so something was missing in the company. So we're glad to be back with an in-person conference, and I think we're just following the trend that people want to meet in person. Of course, COVID, I think, helped with remote company. We are a remote first company. We don't have any office, but it's nice to see. That's one of our learning with remote. Like people like to see each other. So we are super excited. One of the cool things that all the the people working at Strapi, all the employees, the Strapiers as we call them, are going to be there too. It was one of our goals with Pierre, the CEO, is to make sure like all people at Strapi, they get the same feelings that the one we are getting each time we are going to a meetup, each time we are meeting a customer, a partner, or like just a user. It's so nice to talk with people using your product. You learn a lot. It gives you a sense of why you are doing this, give you this sense of belonging to a community. And as founders, we have this unique opportunity to meet a lot of partners and users, etc. It's not the same for the employees. So we want like to make sure they get the same feeling, and we hope it's going to boost them in terms of motivation. They are motivated, but it's even better when you see users. So yeah, we can't wait. We're waiting like 350 people tomorrow.
Okay. Huge amount of people. Huge amount of people. Yes.
Yeah, it's a good amount of people. It's already
for the first time. I would say it's a good number.
We could expect, I think, always more. But if you want, it's really a conference specific to Strapi. We're only going to talk about Strapi. So 350 people in Paris is already a lot. If we want, we could maybe organize a bigger conference, like being 1,000, but we will also need to explore other things than Strapi. But no, we wanted to be just with those amount of people loving Strapi, using Strapi.
Yeah, so you have some big speakers from big companies.
Yeah.
What are you most excited for?
Yeah.
Which talk would you recommend, or is it your own keynote at the beginning, or?
No, yeah, the keynote, we're going to make, I think, a lot of announcements, and a lot of them are expected by partners and digital agencies. No, I'm pretty excited about the talk from, we have a talk with Vercel, with V0, and we're going to make an announcement tomorrow about that. And yeah, I think this talk is going to be nice to see how you can vibe code with Strapi. It's going to be fun. I think there's another one with Adidas. Adidas is it's not our biggest customer at all, but it's one of our big customers. And they're really using Strapi everywhere, like on their mobile app, on their physical shops, on their .com website. Strapi is powering most of the content.
Okay.
And
it's interesting to know.
Yeah.
I most time I visit such websites like Adidas or other brands. I'm often tell me this question: what CMS is in the background? Yeah.
And actually, we are pretty. We can't communicate about most of them on our website, but IKEA.com is running on Strapi. Vinted.com is running on Strapi. Most of the banks' websites are running on Strapi. Most of the new Apple websites are running on Strapi. Okay. Like we have a ton of use cases, but we can't communicate on them. Especially in podcast or just in person, we can talk about them, but we can't like relay that information on our own social media accounts. But no, yeah, Adidas is a very interesting use case because it's a big company, and they are producing shoes, clothes, and many other things. And those productions of shoes, for example, when a new shoes is being released, it's been more than 2 years that team has been working on that shoes. And the content, the way they're going to market it, it's been ready for 18 months before the release. Okay. So the way they use Strapi is that they write the content in Strapi 15 or 18 months before the release. So they heavily rely on some features that we implemented, but they also developed another layer on top of Strapi. And yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting for other brands to look at how Adidas is managing everything with Strapi and what they develop on top, and how they're migrating from version 3 to 4 to 5, because it is really impressive what they're doing.
Okay. And how important is the way like Adidas or other companies use Strapi? So, for example, you told me right now they write content months before. Is this something you write down on your roadmap to implement features for this? Or is this something you keep up to the companies to write plugins or another layer on top?
It depends. If we got the signal, the same signals many times, we will think about adding that in the roadmap. But also it has to, the roadmap is such a tricky topic. We have to align it with the company needs. Strapi is still not profitable, and we want the open source product like to stay forever. So we need to make sure that the commercial entity is healthy and maybe at some point become profitable. So we need to make sure that we are adding the value where the company and our customers expect it. So that's why we recently released review workflows and releases, because most of those big companies, they rely on those features, and Adidas is one of them, the releases. And we got some inspiration, and we interviewed them during the development of that feature, of course. But then we also want to please and to keep the pace of all the innovation. So that's why we decided to migrate everything on TypeScript. That's why we decided to remove Webpack and to rely on Vite, because we really believe in the Vite ecosystem. And we can't wait to see their Rust compiler for production being released, because it means that Strapi build is going to be almost instant. And this means it's going to also make the deployment faster on Strapi Cloud. So yeah, it's a mix of innovation, looking at what the community and the users expect, even if they don't pay, because 99% of people don't pay when they use Strapi. And also looking at the business needs, and okay, we need to make some money as well. So what do our customers need, and what the prospect people looking to buy Strapi, what do they need? So yeah, it's that's my job. Like it's to find a good balance between the two. And sometimes we are investing more on the community and free features. And tomorrow, by the way, we're going to announce a lot of things that are going to be free. And we're also going to announce a few new things that are mostly dedicated to those customers.
Yeah, I think this topic, free features, paid features, it's an interesting topic.
Oh yeah.
I think we can talk about this at a later point in the podcast. Going back to the Strapi Conf, do you think if tomorrow will everything go good as you imagine, do you think you will do another in-person conf next year, or let's say every 2 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, we were thinking, why not doing one in the US? Because we have a lot of users and customers in the US, and we have also employees there. Yeah, I think we're going to do another one. Okay. We'll see how it goes tomorrow, but I have the good feeling that's going to be awesome. Okay. And it's going to give a lot of energy to the team and to the partners who are also coming, and the users, and just going to reinforce this sense of belonging and that community, and to federate all people around Strapi. So yeah, I think even as founders, we really like in-person event. So yeah, is it going to be next year? Is it going to be in 2 years in Europe? Maybe I'm going to do 1 year in the US, 1 year in Europe. I don't know, but okay. Yeah.
How many users or customers do you have in the US compared to Europe? So how is it balanced? Or also, do you have customers or users in Asia or other places?
We have, I think 40% of the customers are in the US. Then it's 30% in Europe, and then we have 20% in Asia, and the rest is just a mix of Australia, the Gulf. Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia, these kind of things. So yeah, it's we are really well spread around the world. There's no like 80% is US and the rest is Europe and Asia. No, like it's pretty balanced.
And what's the most important market for you? The US market, the European, or do you say it's a country who is mostly using Strapi, and you see where it's, let's say in the US, it's rising more than in France or in let's say Germany or other parts of the world?
It depends on what the goals are. If we want to look at the volume of project being built, Asia is by far the most important. Like those digital agencies are creating like 200 websites a year. The people working there are like just, oh my God, how is it possible to ship that many websites in a single year? If you look at the revenue, in the US, we're making more revenue because I think they're less sensitive to price and paying like X amount for a CMS make a lot of sense and they're seeing the value. In Europe, people are more, they look for like sovereignty. So they look for open source product and they see open source as a cheap product. And then you have Saudi Arabia where they just want to do like kind of a soft power. So they want to expand and to, I think they want the Olympic Games. So we're seeing them like developing a lot of websites around the sport and they don't care about the price at all. And then you have Australia, which is like kind of a same market as the US, but Australia is a difficult market because they are really far for everyone else. So in terms of support, it's hard to offer a good level of support there. So really depends. All markets are important for us, and we really like to be like fully international. We don't want to be focused on Europe or just in the US. We like the fact that okay, we have people from all over the world using Strapi. And then it's more challenging in terms of sales, support, customer success. How do we deal with that? Because the bigger you are, the more you expand, the harder it is to manage that internally. Because the languages are different, the currencies can be different, the laws can be different, the expectation, the culture. So it's a lot to learn from. But we have that culture internally. Like we have people for almost 18 different countries in the company. And we're all like spread in 13 different countries. So we know that differences of culture and we use that, by the way, during our sales calls sometimes.
Okay. Talking about bringing the community together. For example, we have in our region the Java user group. Maybe you know it.
Yeah.
Is there something, or do you think there could be something similar to the Java user group for Strapiers? So, for example, a Strapi user group or a Strapi dev community who meets every 2 months and talk about the product, develop experience, and exchange tips and tricks.
Yeah, it already exists in a few countries because before COVID, we started this campaign to have like Strapi meetups in many different like cities in Europe. I think there were one in Berlin. There's one in Czech Republic, which is I think one of the meetup owned by a partner. Is going to be there tomorrow.
Okay.
We used to have one in Paris, in London. Just that after COVID, during like those 2 years of lockdown, it's been everything stopped. But yeah, it's part of the thing we would like to bring back to life.
Okay.
Because it was super nice and people need to share their new plugins and encourage the community like to give back and to publish things on the marketplace. We really want to do that again.
For us, it's always interesting. We meet colleagues we already know or other companies who are in the region, and then they share that they're using Strapi. And we're like, oh wow, you're also using Strapi. And they, yeah, you too. And it's something, if we have like a meetup, we could exchange information, support each other, and knew who is using Strapi as well.
Yeah.
And together you are always better and connect with those people.
Yeah.
And
we are hiring someone we call that job community engineer. And the goal of that person is to organize the community on GitHub and Discord first. It might be like an internal promotion, we'll see. But we have the job position is going to be open soon. And one of their part of the scope could be also the meetups. And we changed our provider recently to bring back also the goodies. So we want to send more stickers, more t-shirts, more hoodie, more caps, everything. So yeah, we are finally back on that. It was not our focus, and it's a bit sad to say that, but actually we had to make sure like the Strapi Strapi company was okay, and now we can give back to the community.
Okay. Yeah, I thought maybe I can do this for our community in the region.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
And maybe I can connect with you guys and
yeah,
we can do something together.
Yeah, it would be so nice.
And
we will
bring
send
the
you
community together. Yes.
And we could sponsor, and we could send you goodies and many things. And also, it's always a pleasure for some of us in the team like to join those events online.
Yeah.
And then to give a talk or to just do a Q&A and share the latest information. Some of them might not be public sometimes. So
yeah, I will definitely come back to this.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Talking about the community, you mentioned you were open source from day one. What were the biggest advantages, and on the other hand, what were the biggest disadvantages going open source? I think you have had some big challenges going open source. On the other hand, you have the big community, but no one is paying you.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, you want to monetize the features.
Yeah.
How do you manage this?
Open source is great. First of all, it's when it's not done in a marketing purpose. We started as an open source project because we really believe in the open source values, and we have that in our roots and DNA, and we love open source projects. The story is that we learned everything from open source. Like I started like to start coding in PHP when I was 13 years old, thanks to PHP being open source and people sharing their knowledge about PHP, and then I started to learn Node and JavaScript and Rails and Java and C# and because it's open source. So it was like a no-brainer for us to make Strapi open source. And again, we didn't have any ambition to build a company on top of it. So this is the cool part. Open source is great. There's no friction. People can install your software for free. And this is how we started like to grow. People building POC, MVPs, and those actually MVPs and POC are becoming production websites. And that's how it started in most of the companies that I mentioned earlier. And we discovered that being open source also means that you're responsible for organizing the community. So you need to share your roadmap. You need to share where do you expect people to contribute. You need to always have a contributing guide which is up to date. And this is not easy because you often forget about this. And you're not perfectly always up to date with the roadmap. Oh, we shipped that, by the way. Or you need to have like clear change logs. You need to review the pull request on time. You need to look at all the issues, to reproduce them, to make sure it's really coming from the software, not from the user environment. And you have people using Yarn, and those others using NPM, and some others using Docker and PNPM, and you don't control a lot of things. And it means that your engineering team and product teams need to spend a lot of time reproducing, understanding the user problems on GitHub. But at the same time, I don't know, I don't have any statistic, but most of the time it's not coming from the software itself. It's coming from the user environment. They install another software which has an issue, and they have a library which is missing, or I don't know. And we were like spending a lot of time, and we started to become slow at shipping, slow at bringing innovation. And also with an open software, the thing is that people install that on their computer or their servers. So you need to think about the migration. And one thing we completely missed during the migration, like the release of Strapi 4, is about how do our users on V3 were migrating to V4. And we know it was a nightmare at the beginning to migrate from 3 to 4. And we worked a lot on that on the new version, Strapi 5, to make sure like the migration was easier. But it's never as easy as using a SaaS software fully online. So you still have people struggling because they did a lot of customization. And when you add all of that, open source, users when you don't control their environment, the migration, you start to have this feeling that we can't move forward at the speed we would like to. The market is requiring us to go. So I started to work with the CPO at GitLab for that, because I was struggling myself. How can we fix that? And he told me that they did that internally, that calculation, that being open source means that you're going to ship 20% less than other software, or you're going to be 20% slower than any other software.
Okay.
And that's super, it really didn't help me to find the solution. It just made me acknowledge that, okay, that's why we're slow, because we're open source. So then you have to manage like going fast, but you can break things sometime, or you can make the user life more difficult, and then they're going to be unhappy and they might leave your community. So it's not easy to be open source actually. We learned a lot. I will recommend, if you're like starting your own company, be aware that being open source and when you start to have a big community, it's a responsibility, and you need to take care of that community, of those users. You need to anticipate all the things that I mentioned, the issues, the pull requests. We're also too slow to review pull requests, so we are hiring more people. And yeah, if you want to go at the speed of let's say a CMS SaaS software, you need 20% more engineers to do the same work, because you're open source. And those 20%, it's like 20% more salary that you're going to spend. And at the same time, a lot of people are not willing to pay a single penny for that software. So it's quite a tricky balance. I would not say that we solve that issue, but we are just not aware of those challenges that come with open source. But I think it's worth it when you have such a community and you have people using your software. It's so much better to be able to meet in person like tomorrow. And thanks to that, if we were not open source, it would have been not impossible. Like you have Figma, which has a big community and it's not open source at all. But I think it's just more difficult.
Yes. Talking about these challenges, I saw a LinkedIn post from you a couple of weeks ago where you talk about how you ship faster features and that you do not rely on frameworks like Scrum or Kanban or something else. Can you tell more about this? How do you work at Strapi, and how do you improve your speed?
Yeah, because that's one of the things I wanted to improve the speed internally. Like, okay, we're open source, but okay, it's not a done deal how we can still be open source and ship fast. Because, I was telling you that the market is moving so fast. Like, you have all those vibe coding tools, you have those new protocols like MCP, agent to agent. There are like a lot of progress being done on the preview aspect for CMSs. How can we keep the pace? And we started like some internal initiatives that we are gonna release tomorrow or announce tomorrow. And we decided like to completely change the way we're working. Usually we were working in squads. So in one squad at Strapi means you have a product designer, you have a product manager, you have an engineering manager, and you have like software engineers, and you have satellite roles like technical writer helping to write the documentation. You have a product marketing manager, and you have people from marketing or sales, like trying to work on the sales pitch anyway. So it's a group of, the core group is like 8 people, and then it's around like 11. And those squads were working using Scrum most of the time, and sometimes Kanban. So I was looking at how the squads were working, and they were like doing a lot of meetings. Because they are doing like DSMs, daily standing meetings. They were doing story mapping, backlog reviews, costing. They were doing some meeting to just define the technical task, and they were doing retrospectives, and just go on meetings. And I was saying, okay, but how is that possible that we need so much sync meeting all the time? And I read, I think, Marty Kagan, Empowered book one more time. And I was also looking at other way of working. And we started this new initiative internally, and we just pull a few engineers, 1 or 2, including our CTO and our senior designers. And we started to work on the initiative without anything. Like, were just senior people working on a single initiative. And I was the PM, and I just tell them that those are our guiding principles. This is the goal, the outcome we expect. Those are the constraints that we have in terms of cost, etc. And this is the market we are gonna be in. And what I discovered that those designers, engineers, like the senior ones, they started like to by themselves test all the other products in the market. They started to look at the pricing and talking and asking questions, and I was answering those questions because I was working on those aspects. And after 2 weeks, they were having the same level of knowledge that I was having, and they were like fully understanding the problem, and they started to work on the solution, and they just started like to do back and forth, like very fast, and say, why do we need any meaning or product? You're just working super well. And they started like to build the solution. And literally like 3 weeks later, we had a working prototype, and everyone was aware of that. We were also building in public, sharing everything on Slack. Everyone was encouraged to share anything. We were making no judgment and saying, okay, those people, those employees, they are fully empowered. They know the problems, they know how to work on the solution. They share everything, and they just want to go as fast as possible to reach the outcome. And now we're just replicating that in the company.
Okay.
Like I just want to have one engineer or two working together on a single solution with a designer, and the PM is just setting constraints and the barriers. And yeah, it works. But it doesn't work with junior people. It doesn't work if you don't share all the information internally. So nothing is being hidden from for them. Everything is being shared on Slack in a dedicated channel. And yeah, with junior people, I think it might be more difficult because we're not talking about technical aspect at all. Like we trust the engineer to make the best technical choices. We trust the designer to do the perfect UX for this solution, or the good UX. And yeah, that's how we are working. And just simple, but also you have to make sure that those people, they know each other as well. So you cannot do that if the designer joined a month ago. You cannot do that if the engineers they joined like three weeks ago. So you need to make sure you're working with senior people that are in the company, that know the culture, that know the product and the landscape of competitors pretty well. And when you have that, they have everything to work perfectly. So no need of doing that many meetings, and no need to talk about every decision being made.
Okay. Do you plan on releasing some kind of white paper or framework to
explain that?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think that's the challenges you mentioned, to have a lot of meetings and slow pace. I see a lot of companies struggling with that.
Yeah. And we have been not struggling, but we have been working like this for years. And know that the speed is so much more important. It has always been important, but now with AI, it's going so much faster that we need to change the way we work, and we need to trust each other even more. So, yeah. But I'm not saying that every squad is going to switch on that model. Also, we got inspired by Stripe. Because I often go to the US, and I was talking to one of the head of product at Stripe, and he told me that they have these terms that they use, like product sense. And I don't know how they define it, but at some point they say that, okay, this person has a product sense. So it means that they have enough knowledge to make product decisions, and they don't need to ask the permission, just don't ask. And I think, yeah, for those people who reach that stage of having the product sense, they don't need any framework to go fast. And actually, I was always surprised by seeing our CTO be able to ship things in 3 days, while it was like taking 3 months to the same squad. Say, is it possible that this guy alone is doing more than an entire squad for 3 months? It's just he's not talking to anyone. He's just developing and shipping and adding value. So how can we ensure that those engineers working in squads, they reach almost the same level of velocity, and you just need to remove everything in their agenda, no meetings. Yeah.
Has this any effect on the quality of the product, or did you notice something? So, for example, I hear a lot of people say we need to talk about this feature because it's complex, and everyone in the team needs to understand this feature.
Yeah.
And they talk about in 3 to 4 meetings about this, and for me it's hilarious to do so long meetings and to discuss this topic. How do you deal with this? Do you start the feature, developing it, and see, okay, does this work, does this not work? And
I think the engineers, they never start developing right away. They already think about the architecture first, and they share their ideas between each other first, and then they start developing. But for the POC, the POC, they don't need to talk to anyone. But yeah, then they challenge the way it's being done. But even the quality, we have a much better test suite now, so we are more confident than we used to. But as you are someone who can work the next hour or the next 30 minutes on the issue, if you have an issue and it can be fixed in the next 30 minutes, it's not an issue. You don't have
it's not an issue.
Not an issue then, in terms of quality. And we mostly rely on beta phase. So, for example, what we're going to announce tomorrow, I think we started to work on it in January, and now it's live, and the team has been playing with it like for 2 months, because it's been 2 months that we are just iterating, playing with it. Oh, this bug. Okay, the next 30 minutes being the bug is resolved. And it's so much, you have the feeling of moving forward first, so it keeps the motivation high. And I know it doesn't work for all features. I want to acknowledge that. When you're like, let's say, migrating your entire infrastructure, your cloud infrastructure to a new provider, you can't work this way, because you have like ton of customers relying on the previous infrastructure. You cannot mess up with the new one. So you need to take a lot of precautions. But when you're working on an existing product, on features that are not, you're not talking about an innovation. You're talking about a missing feature in the software, and all the other software in the landscape, they have that feature. I think, just shipping it as fast as possible is more important. And if you can fix the issues pretty quickly, no one is going to care about that. Okay. Especially if you're in beta phase. But when you declare to be stable, you should be stable.
Makes sense, yes. And how do you prioritize features? Is it more data-driven, or is it customer feedback, or is it led by a product vision you defined for yourself?
We are lucky because we have the product roadmap, which is public. So people can vote and they can share their ideas. So we use that. We're also using a product called Cycle, which is an AI product feedback tool that helps us to prioritize and give us the trends and extract the codes from the sales calls and the user interviews that we're doing. And we're doing also a lot of user interviews. And we have Slack channels where the team can just post anything about Strapi, any feedback they got from a customer, a user, and all of that goes in Cycle. And then I told you it's a mix of, okay, this is what the users want, this is what the business needs, and then we discuss the roadmap every 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks we challenge the roadmap, our current initiatives, the ones who are coming, and every month we are sharing it internally. So we have a meeting for that, where we share the roadmap and why we're doing this in that order. And we try to find a balance between solving user problems, fixing issues, and also moving forward. Because we cannot, the thing is that when you're running a company, you cannot expect the engineers to fix issues all the time. No one is going to be motivated by doing that. So you need also to add new things or to work on cool stuff if you want to retain those engineers or even designers and anyone. So it's always a mix of those three things.
Okay. Talking about what the business needs, the CMS market is really crowded, I would say. They spread like mushrooms. And we also have I would say the legacy CMS like WordPress, really big CMS systems that are widely used. How do you differentiate Strapi, and old CMS systems like Typo3, WordPress, Drupal, and so on?
It's crowded. And actually, when you look at the feature sets, they're all the same. So if you look at data CMS, you look at Typo3, you look at iGraph, Contentful in Germany, and you look at Strapi, Sanely, Storyblock, and others. Yeah, actually, they're almost doing the same thing. They're helping you to manage content, and yeah, some of them might have more customization capabilities. Some of them are open source, some are not. Some have a free plan, those they don't. Some are free, like Strapi, some are not. So it's mostly about positioning. And our biggest differentiators are we are open source, free, like really open source, MIT. We're not like some other CMS that are not really having an MIT license. We offer a lot of customization capabilities, even if we try to keep them in control, because customizing too much your CMS means that you might not use the CMS. It might be better to actually do your own stuff without it, or just to rely on backend framework. And open source customization, and then that are two, I think, biggest differentiators. And we also offer something unique, is that we have this cloud hosting platform. So when you bet on Strapi, you are a digital agency and you bet on Strapi, whatever the client's needs you're gonna have, Strapi is gonna fit with those needs. So if your clients needs to be, I don't want to manage the hosting, I don't care about using an open source product, I want to have something fully online, okay, you can pick Strapi and host it on Strapi Cloud. Okay, it's like having a SaaS CMS. But if they care about open source, you can still use Strapi and host them on their server, it on their server. And that's we're one of the only one providing that capacity, because our cloud is not a SaaS version of Strapi. You can really customize your software, your Strapi app locally. We add plugins, add new stuff in the dashboard, and deploy it on the cloud. And all those customizations will still be available on Strapi Cloud. You don't have a lot of CMSs offering that. So yeah, that's what we are doing a bit differently. And tomorrow we're gonna announce things around AI, around preview, it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be a differentiator for a lot of time. People are gonna catch up pretty soon, and I don't think in the CMS industry you can differentiate yourself on features. So yeah, it's more about the community, and what you can, and the brand itself. If your user love the brand, it can be a big differentiator in that ecosystem, because as you said, it's so crowded.
Yes.
So many solutions.
Yeah, AI is a big topic. I see a lot of people or content managers, they use AI to write content, to translate content, to plan content, and so on. How do you see this in the future to fit it in Strapi or other CMS systems?
Yeah, that's part of my talk tomorrow. I think the CMS industry is not in trouble, but we really need to change the way we think about content management. And at Strapi, we believe that that's something very interesting. I'm going to start with the beginning of the story. Is when you look at the CMS landscape right now, none of the CMSs are offering any 360 AI experience. You don't have an AI native experience in all the other CMSs. Some of them are relying on plugins, so it's not built in. You have to install like 9 plugins, and some of them are being developed by partners and third party. And if you install all of them, you're going to have a 360 AI experience. Some others, they just offer like a translation or text generation. And most of them, they don't have AI at all. And that's super strange, because when you think about AI and even Strapi, sometimes I ask myself, how is it possible that our industry, we are so late on AI? No one is actually integrating AI that much in the CMS. And I have one answer to that is that until 6 months ago, nobody in our calls with users or even prospect or customers were mentioning we need AI. And since the last 6 months, huge difference, like 50% of the call, they ask about AI. So that's why we started to work on it, that, okay, finally, like the needs, the people.
Do you know why this shift, or where does this shift come from? So I can imagine, so for example, you work with ChatGPT. Do your content researchers create content, translating content, and copy paste it into your CMS?
Yeah.
And the more you work with this, the lazier you get.
Yeah.
And you want to have this integration into your CMS, so you can do a prompt inside, let's say in Strapi, and do your content inside of Strapi.
Yeah, it would be much better than copying, pasting from ChatGPT. I think maybe people are tired of that, and then you need to copy your content for each field, which is that's why like things like smart pasting will be super interesting. You copy paste your entire content, and we match it with the fields. We have this kind of things in mind.
Oh, interesting.
But no, I think a lot of, as I told you, like especially at Strapi, like we have a lot of giant companies using it. And those companies, they were not fully open to AI until recently, when they said, okay, we cannot miss that it's not a trend, like it's a revolution. So how do we go all in? And now they are opening the door that, okay, let's talk about AI in our CMS now, because the marketing teams has been asking for it, but actually those companies, they are, oh, no AI. So I think we have this change of mindset, and maybe it's even more visible in Europe. And the second thing is that just the models are getting better. Like when you look at the translation or the text generation capabilities from the first version of ChatGPT that we all use, and now, like the difference is massive and huge. And so some people were believing that with the first version of GPT, you could actually like really manage content. But it was still imperfect, making mistakes, saying a lot of fake things. And now it's just getting more relevant. The sentences, they look like a human. They sound like a human could have wrote them. So I think we have those two things. And we believe at Strapi that we should really offer a 360 native experience. So what we're going to do, and it's what I'm going to announce tomorrow, is that we're going to revamp all our core features. And by revamp, I think we're going to redesign them. I'm telling you that we're going to redesign all those core features from the ground up, because we don't want to add AI on top. So I don't want to look at the media library now and just add AI in it. Or I just want to look at our content manager, which is where you're actually editing your content, and add a button where you can generate text. I don't want that. It's not an AI native experience. So I want you that when you open a new entry, you want to create a new entry, you tell us what do you want to actually do, and you tell us like, oh, I want to add the let's say for Adidas, I want to add a new product. It's gonna be the shoes called I don't know, XXX, and this is gonna be the price, and you hit enter, and then we automatically create everything. One of our
including image generation.
Image generation as well.
Okay.
Or we find it in the media library for you. But one of our guiding principle and design principle is no blank page. I think this is what comes with AI native tool. You don't start with a blank page. You always have a draft, because we can ask you what do you want to build and or create. And from that first prompt, we can start generating a first skeleton, a backbone, and then you iterate on that. Because the human brain is so much more performant when you are iterating on something existing rather than starting from a blank page. You don't have this writer block. You are not stuck like, okay, where do I start? And no, you don't think about that. Like, this is what you want to do. Let me give you a first idea of what you could do, and then you iterate. And so yeah, we're going to do that with content. We're going to do that with tagging. When you upload an image, we want to extract the main color. We want to extract all the items to automatically add the tags and the notes for you, and the author, the image, the credits. We can do so many things. We want to help you to translate. When you write a content in English, we can, before saving, do you want to save it in Spanish and Italian too? Because you're one click away of having your content in sync all the time. And so the same, the filters, when you want, instead of playing with the filters and clicking on 10 different buttons to build a filter, you can just write a sentence like, list me the last product that has been sold 100 times, and you have it. Yeah. So we want to rethink everything. Strapi is going to change a lot in the next 9 months, and with the new way of working, I'm sure that if we do that podcast in a year from now, Strapi won't be the same.
Yeah, one big challenge I see is how you would manage the open source. So let's say most of the users I know, they host Strapi itself. Mm-hmm. And have, for example, their own virtual machines or use DigitalOcean or some other platform. With AI, you have the challenge that you need a lot of computational power.
Yeah.
So I would say it's a big challenge to host it on yourself and use the AI feature.
Yeah, and that's why we decided to not open source the AI part.
Okay, so it's a paid feature only. Or
and that's why we're gonna also offer a free trial on the AI. So recently we released a new plan, the growth plan, $15 per month per user, and we're gonna offer a generous free trial on this plan to have anyone starting with a Strapi project. They will get access to the AI features for more than, could be 15 days or a month. And if they like it, they can subscribe to it. But yeah, we cannot build that's with the limits of open source. We need to go fast. And I was telling you that sometimes we need to make some not radical changes or decisions, but yeah. And we made that decision that, okay, we're going to own the AI and we're going to make it scale on our own. And actually, it's a lot of work. We're not just leveraging Gemini or Claude. We'll have a lot of things around validation, a lot of things about optimization, chat history, and everything. So it's the infra to support that is not small. And when we started to say, could we ask the user to manage that, as you mentioned? No way. They already struggle to. Because even when you use Strapi and you make it on production for a use case, a real use case, you need a Node.js server, you need a database, you need an email provider, you often need a CDN, and now you need X and X services, plus you need to connect to ChatGPT, and you start to have 10 different things that you need to provision on your end to make Strapi working not properly, but at its full power. It's not aligned with our mission. Our mission is to empower millions of people to create and share content. And we don't think that by making the deployment more difficult year over year, we're going to reach that and fulfill that mission. So now we decided to make the AI part a proprietary, and we're just going to make it cheap and accessible to everybody at first. And then, of course, you're going to have two CMSs, the one with AI and the one without. But we also believe that people are going to expect for any CMS to have AI, to be AI powered.
Do you see a future where it could only exist one AI version of Strapi?
What do you mean?
So that the users do not want the old version without AI and are only using the AI version because they're so used to AI features. And
we will maintain the two, the one with and without. So it means that the Strapi software will support being used with AI and without. So it means that some features or some CTAs buttons might be hidden when you don't have the AI enabled. But no, I think no one is going to use a CMS without AI anymore. Well, I believe in the next 2 years, this is what you expect from a CMS. You expect your CMS to bring a lot of features, and AI will be part of it. And when we start to we'll make the announcement tomorrow, and I don't want to say too much to you because I want to keep the surprise. But when you start using it, and you start using a CMS with like a lot of AI-powered features, you cannot go back.
Mm-hmm.
You have the feeling of being so slow. How is that possible that I was using that software without AI? And now when you upload an image and you get all the information, and when you start writing an entry and you get like that draft and it's automatically translated in 10 other languages, or when one thing we're gonna show tomorrow is that you can just drag and drop a Figma file.
Mm-hmm.
From that we generate the entire Strapi app for you. When you start using that, there's no way you go back. You drag and drop your Figma file. Okay, you have a first iteration, it's working, and you get all the information that are visible in the design. You get that in the content schema, and you just need to iterate. And we've been doing tests. Instead of spending like 2 hours thinking about my content schemas, 5 minutes, I get the same. It's better because the model is trained on building the best content structure. With not too many level of nesting, but also using the components. So you have a good balance between it's maintainable, flexible enough, and you can have good performance with it. And that's so perfect.
Will you use a completely own model, or do you have a cooperation with some other company?
No, we leverage mostly LLMs,
Mm-hmm.
the current one, like and then we build on top of it our own infra.
Okay.
And now we're just collecting some data to train the model. So then with an open software, it's pretty changing, but we're doing that respecting like GDPR, and we're asking for consent. But yeah, then it's our goal is to train it. We have done it a bit, so it's already super good. I think more than 90% of the time it's really relevant, and there are some cases where why and we need some additional data to fix that those situations. But no, training model is also a bit expensive, or at least we're gonna fine tune.
It's a big challenge.
Yeah, but we have the resources internally to do that, so we can't wait.
Okay.
Yeah. Can't wait to have your feedback tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll give you the access to the data.
I'm excited. Maybe we can do let's say in a year or two, a follow-up and talk about the changes on AI and the impact on Strapi.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. I think we are already coming to an end.
Oh.
I have so much more questions, but it would not fit in this podcast, and I guess we have to do in some time a new episode. But for now, for someone who's new to Strapi, are there any tips you would give, or an advice on CMS or?
So take your time with the content structure, the content schemas, because it's the first step when you're using a Headless CMS and even Strapi. So it's like a common feedback for all tools, all the CMS tools. Take your time because it's difficult to change it once you have defined it. And if you didn't use the components enough, etc., you're gonna lack flexibility. And if you nest it too much, you're gonna have performance issues. So take your time before rushing the other parts. It's the more important step when using a Headless CMS. When you use Strapi, use Postgres. Do not look for any other database. It's going to fit all your needs. One other tip, keep track of the updates. Update your app. You're going to benefit from all the fixes, the security patch, and the latest features. It's important, but often I know it can be. And also, it makes your life so much easier because, sometimes when from one version to another, you can get a few challenges because you develop your custom solution. So the faster you migrate, the better. And a final tip on Strapi, what could it be? Before installing a plugin, on the marketplace, we review the plugin in the sense that we look at the files, but we also run both on the security aspect. But those plugins can be also updated, and we don't look at them every single time they're being updated. It's too much work. So relying on plugins, but also be careful that when you rely on plugins, you're also relying on someone else's code, and be aware of that. So we have seen so many situations where the plugins was creating the issue. It helps you to go fast, but if the plugin is really an important part of your CMS and it's running a mission critical feature for your business, maybe it's better to internalize the plugin. But that would be my four tips. And maybe the last one is more like for the experience of the content editors. In the content manager of Strapi, there's a feature called configure the view, and a lot of people don't know about it. It's a way to change the layout.
That's my favorite feature.
Yeah, it's a way to change the layout for the people editing the content. So you can change the size of the inputs, you can change the order, you can change the labels, you can add descriptions for each field, and it's when you use it well, it makes the experience of the editor so
really
much
powerful.
Yeah,
I'm every time I see that this feature is not used, I'm shocked, because I use it every project. Because for the end user, for the person who writes content, it's essential to know what does this field do and how do I use it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think it's because most of the time the engineers are selling the content schemas, but they are not doing the view part. So
they're too technical.
Yeah. So use that feature. Super powerful.
Okay. Aurélien, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
And I'm looking forward to the Strapi-Conf tomorrow for all the new features and the talks. And maybe we can do a follow-up in the future.
Sure. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to talk about Strapi.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye.